All right, you saw in the mail call video, I got all the stuff. So when I'm gonna start? How about right after the titles? Come back and let's get to work. Hey everybody, Anthony Dodge, Märklin outside the Märklin, outsider night of the round boy table here with you. And you saw in a mail call video that I posted that I got the last of the double slips, the decoders, the motors. It's time to get to work. So this is Tuesday. Kyan's just left. I'm filming the mail call video. But my original instinct has always been I wait till Friday after my live stream because that gives me the most time between live streams to tear apart the track and hopefully get it all back together before my next live stream. But as I'm sitting here, I'm eager to get going on it. And so I'm going to do a lot of preliminary work, and I feel it. I might start it tonight, or I might start it Wednesday morning because I have Wednesday morning stuff Wednesday afternoon, but Wednesday evening, Thursday before I get Kyan, maybe that's enough time, even Friday morning before my live stream. I don't know if I'm crazy or not, but I'm going to start at least some of the prep tonight. So let me turn this around, show you what I'm going to be working on, and then I'll find out, as you find out, just how I'm going to get about doing this. So here is the haul that I got in the mail call, the little video I put up. So I've got my double slips, decoders for the two three-way turnouts, decoders for the two right-hand turnouts and 3 double slips, and then motors for everything. And all of this has to get installed over there. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to motorize and digitize all the pieces. I'll at least accomplish that tonight. I think on the first one here with the turnout, I'll pretty much show you because it's all the same regardless of whether you're doing the double slip or the turnout. And then maybe when I do the three-way turnout, I'll show you the difference. But here's the decoder. If I can put that in there. So here's the decoder. You take that out. I've already got the motor in this right-hand turnout, so it's a right-hand turnout. I've already got the motor in, it just fits. Everything is pre-measured and preset. There's 3 prongs here. 1, 2, 3. Hopefully they'll show up. And the decoder sits on those. You don't screw the decoder. You can screw the motor in, but you don't screw the decoder in. You just kind of pressure fit. Now this fits in. This wire fits in. Let me see if I can get this up into view here. I don't know how well you're going to see it under here. But there's the motor, and it's got a little slot where that fits in. That connects. That will connect the decoder to the motor. So once it's in, you then take, if you're going to do full digital, there is a little there's 2 different sets of wires in the bag here, but you want this one, the brown, red, and yellow one, and you're going to connect that here on the decoder, and then you'll connect it to these fish plates. So I'll do that off camera and then show it because it's hard to do it on camera from this angle. Alright, so once you've got it installed, you have these 3 wires, and you'll notice that they are pre-spaded. And they slip on the spade connectors up in here. And you'll do, on the side above the motor, you will do brown and then red. And then on the other side, that I don't know if you can see, there's a B in there. You'll put the yellow. The yellow goes to B. The yellow and the brown, I'm sorry, the yellow and the red go to B. Technically, you could put the red over there and the yellow there, but yellow here, red here on the outside, and then or I shouldn't say the outside here, would be the inside, but you get the idea. Wherever it says B, you're going to do the red wire and the yellow wire, and then where it says O on this side, you'll do the brown wire. So I'll do that and then come back. Okay, so now it's all done. And with these turnouts, this is it. All you want to do is just kind of tuck these wires. There's actually a couple of places where you can press them in, pressure fit them to get them out of the way. On others, you got to watch out that they don't get mixed into the mechanisms, but the mechanisms on these turnouts are down here, so it's not an issue. So that is a turnout ready for decoder. Now the only thing you do is we still have to set the address. This is a dip switch decoder, so you will set the address you want it to have. And once I have these all done and in place, then I'll decide, or ready to go in place, I'll decide what address I want them all. The key is these decoders are set to Microsoft Motorola MM or MFX. All I have to do is put number 10 into the on position. That makes it DCC because MFX only goes up to 300 and something. And so if I want to go 400, I have to make them DCC. That's not an issue at all. Okay, so I've just got a bunch more to do. I do want to take a moment and give a little bit of warning when you start the double slips. This is a double slip. You're still going to go brown, red, and then they only have the one spade over here for the yellow, so that's all set up for you. But on the double slips, there's actually working mechanisms here. So after you install the decoder and the motor, you got to make sure your wires don't get tangled up in those, because there are little thin wires here. I don't know how well they're going to show up. I'm trying to turn this in a lot of ways. But you can see it coming up here. There's a little wire. That's part of the mechanism for flipping the switches up here, since there are switches on all four ends. So after you put everything in, you got to make sure the wires don't get caught up in that. Otherwise, they'll prevent your rail switches from working correctly. All right. Again, I have no idea how well you'll see this, but if you can see those wires, you just got to keep those wires out of the mechanisms. Now, I don't know if Märklin does this intentionally, but they definitely have a little area here and then two pokes there, and you can squeeze these wires in and it seems to hold them in place, and they just stay out of range of the working mechanisms. You can see, especially on the right as you're looking at how close those wires are to the working mechanism. I do try to pull this wire this way a bit just to keep them out of the way. You can even tape them back if you need to, but that's just something to watch out. So if you install this and all of a sudden these aren't quite open or closing completely, before you decide it's defective, just go back and make sure your wires aren't interfering with the mechanism. So there's a little tip for you. All right, so that is the first of these. And the other thing I didn't mention this is that all the decoders come with little tags here, so you can put a sticky tag on here and write the address you're going to set it to, in case you forgot or something happened, or you're rebuilding and you want to reuse it. You can, technically you can reset the decoder, but you can write the address that it's set for on this mechanism here right now. All right, so I'm going to finish these up and then we'll see what next step follows. Okay, so I now have them all motorized with a decoder. The only thing I haven't done is set the address on the dip switches. Now, what I'm doing is I give each thing a zone, starting with zone 200, because I save all the 100 addresses in MFX for any of my trains. As I'm filling up the double digit ones, I save 100 for trains. So starting with 200, that's turnouts. So zone 2, the first zone, is over, if I can adjust that, it's over on the parking area. That's zone 2. And then coming out of the parking area is zone 3, that first group of left-hand flowing double slips. So this will be zone 4. This area here will be zone 4, and then the parking area will be zone 5. And again, with these dip switch decoders, if I'm going to go over, well, if I'm going to do 400 or higher, I have to set these to DCC. That's not a problem. My system will read it the same. I just will set it to DCC because the Märklin MFX protocols don't go above 3 something. I forget what it is, 350, 360, somewhere in there. It doesn't go above 320. Again, I forget. I could look it up real quick, but it's not that important. So I will set these to DCC, which simply means on the dip switch, I will flick, if I can get that in there, I will take the 10 switch and turn it on. That means these will now be read as DCC and not MFX. Okay, now what I'm going to do is one of these turnouts will be 401 and the other one will be 405 because they're at the start and the end of the flow. And then the decoders will be 2, 3, and 4 on the double slips. That's all I got to do. And then I just got to make sure I put them in the correct order that I want them in. It's not a big deal if I get them out of order, but I just like them to flow in a certain way. All right, so I am not ready to install them completely. One thing I'll have to do is if you see these additional brown and yellow wires, these are to the light up lanterns that are on the double slips, and I will have to drill holes and drop those down and run them to, yes, as I mentioned in a previous video, if I want those lights to work, they got to go to a bus wire. I technically could connect them to my track, but that's just, with all the trains I run, that's just extra power pull out of the track power, so I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is set these addresses and then take them over here and then just lay them out. And then I'll decide whether I'm going to go any further today or wait till tomorrow, Wednesday, and really start working on it.
Okay, don't quite have enough room. Well, maybe if I push myself back. You can see as I lay this out and get a rough idea how it's going to go. When you get to the top, here is the total amount of distance all this is going to move. That's like 5 millimeters. And I'm just going to have to take 5 millimeters out of those runs there to get everything to line up. Now, obviously, it'll be a little different in some cases. This will be a greater one because these two were narrower and this one's wider. But by the time you get up here, everything was pretty even. And it's just going to be to adjust the rest of the in between. Obviously, I'll have to disconnect all of this for now to give me the room to push. So the curves on that side will be disconnected, the curves on this side. I'll then readjust and straighten the curves here in this area. Maybe get them not so tight here. I might just push everything a little further that way. But I'll disconnect all the curves and go in. And then I also have to take these out, put the motors in, and the decoders in those. And that'll be zone 5. So you have zone 2, zone 3. This will be zone 4. This is 401 because it's coming off lane 1, 402, 403, 404, 405. And then that'll be zone 5 for parking or going into line 6. So I really think I might be able to get this done by Friday's live stream. Of course, you probably won't be watching this till after Friday's live stream. Depends on how quickly I get this done. And yes, I'll have to move some trains out of the way. So that's what we're looking at. And I'll have to drill some pilot holes, as I mentioned, for those. But what I think I am going to do, because I have a little bit of time, is I'm going to go ahead and disconnect these and go ahead and put the motors in and the decoders in them. Because I should be able to take those out, put them back in right now without any hassle. So, back when I do that. Okay, it is Wednesday, morning, 10ish. And I'm going to try to do this. Now, the first thing I got to do is I've got to, on these curves, I've got to disconnect the first straight off of each of these curves. Just take it out. And then on these, and do the same thing over here. I want to leave the curves alone for now. Although, as I mentioned yesterday, I'm probably going to adjust lane 1 and get it where it's not quite so tight here. And again, it's just everything's going to shift that way a bit. And then I will put these into place. And that includes taking little bits off here as well and creating space. Okay, so let's get to that. All right, so now I've taken out one straight from this side and over on the other side. So that's going to give me the ability to move these forward as needed. So now I got to take this area apart so I can move things rather easily and fit things in. And my goal is where this curve comes in, I want to push this over where a 64, my actual smallest piece, will fit here, and then everything else will be adjusted down this way. But of course I also have to go up. But that's the plan. So now I've removed all the straights here so I can put this in. So this area has been completely removed. If I don't get this done in 2 days, no trains on live stream day. So let's get to work. Okay, so what I've done so far is I've got this side all realigned and pulled in here, and I've got the 3 outer lines going here, everything in the middle set. I've got one space here I am still trying to do the math on and figure it out exactly. I've already ripped 2 pieces back. I might have to go a third. Okay, so the 5 main lanes are all done. Again, it's just a question of switching everything and finding the right pieces that fulfill, but these are all gap, but if anything they're straighter. I'm very happy with that. Now this is chaos, so I will come back when it's all done. So the only area I have to fix is I have one side on lane 6. I'll probably do that right now, and then I just have to adjust these last bits, and then it's all done. So yeah, this has been flying by, and Jean Ricard is actually visiting and watching while I work. So there we go. Okay, so we now have 6 full running lanes in. I still got to fix that, but this is all squared up in here. The buffer stops are back in. This is all done through here. Obviously a big mess through here. And now I just got to do the 5 parking lanes, but I'm going to take a lunch break, and then I have some business I need to take care of, so I'll come back to this evening. So what'll be seconds for you will be hours for me. It is Wednesday, about 7:15ish maybe. And been busting my butt all day. Just had dinner. When Joyce got home from work, she wanted to run out. We need to buy some furniture, so we ran out. I was just finishing up. I still got to do some tests, but I was eating lunch down here and doing a little bit of finishing up. Watching Monsville, a great channel. Does amazing builds and repairs on old Hornby and Hornby Dublo and trying stuff. But yeah, so let's look at it. So here are the new double slips. The new track alignment in here. I managed to keep these lines nice and straight. This really just needs to be manually adjusted, but there's plenty of a gap there. It looks a little narrow here on the camera, but actually it's fine. Got all this done, and really I only had to take about that much out of the lengths here, but it's all in, it's all done. These are already loaded into the machine. I showed how to do it in my last video when I did the 3 ways and in the previous one, so I didn't bother filming that, but they're all on the computer. They're all working. I've already put some trains away to get them out of the way and get ready for some other things I want to do. And so I'm just, there is no good angle to put this in, but just much cleaner look here. Even though there was only a couple of turnouts here, and now it's this long string here. But I'm going to do a quick run. I've got my false flag ICE3 Amtrak. There was never an ICE3 Amtrak. But I'm going to run that through and kind of show how this works and that everything is set up. And then I will do some other testing to make sure everything is flowing. But it is done. All the decoders, everything. And the only thing is, when I was counting decoders I forgot I needed a decoder for this and this here. So I've got it all set up. Even those have decoders and are ready to go. And I forgot to buy decoders for these two. So this is still a manual job for a little while. I'll probably buy a couple of decoders off of eBay if I can get them for a lot cheaper than trying to do an order from Lipa. But so it all flows. I now have the right hand flow this way, the left hand flow up there. Actually, I don't even need to order decoders. I've got some turnouts up there that have decoders in them that I won't be using anymore. So I'll probably just take those decoders out and put them in here and call it good. So I didn't show every step of the way and did a lot of work and then came back and said, here's what I got. But that's how I do it. I did have Jean Ricard on video with me for a lot of the work. And yeah, there's just a couple of things I do, but I did run out of a couple of shorts I needed. I ran out of 71s and 77s, so there's a couple places where I kind of fudged it a bit, but when I get new ones, I will move things over a little bit further to make me happier. But yeah, that is the job in. So I will show this guy in motion and just show a couple little bits with him, and then I will call it good. And I still have to set up Friday's live stream. Okay, so to demonstrate the need for left hand flow and right hand flow, this is a train. I'm going to use the ICE3 Amtrak, a false flag, doesn't exist in reality, and I've pulled it up into the parking lane here. So when it's coming out of there, it's very easy to go from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. You just come straight down and curve onto the one you want. You open the switch and let it go. Now, for an ICE3, it's very easy to then just go back the other way if I wanted to run. But you got to remember, sometimes traffic is flowing that way in certain lanes and that way in other lanes. So if I have him in lane 1 and decide I want him to go lane 3, I have to back him up through and then change him down if he was going that way on lane 1. Actually, lane 1 goes that way. So if he's on lane 2 and I want him to go to lane 3, I have to pull him all the way through and back him up. So coming around this way, he can go to lane 3 with no issue. So you come down this way, you go up that way. Yeah, let's just show it. We're going to do it real quick and just have him go all the way down to 5, and then down here he goes all the way back up to 1. Again, with the ICEs, it's not a big deal. You can reverse them, but it's just easier and smoother to change it that way. So we're going to put them in motion. So what I like is just how smooth it is. That's just a nice straight line going through. And now that he's coming through, I have to change 405 to open. Yep, there he goes. So now he's all the way back up to 1. But here I'm going to move him to lane, I believe it's lane 3 now. So now he goes to lane 3. And then if I wanted to turn him around, I could run him right through here and have him come back out the other way and go that way. So it really is a nice system. I'm going to pause it here, let it come back around. So what I want him to do is I'm going to have him go from 1 to 3 So as he comes around, he should turn on to 1 and then turn off of 1 and on to 3. And then I've opened this reversing loop up because I want him to go the other way. So 1. And he'll go around. This is the only one I have to do manual for now. Eventually I will put motors and digital in there. And then he's going to come back, and I've left 3 and 1 open to the turn, so he's going to come back and turn and go back to 1. And then if I wanted to put him away, I would actually, well, maybe I'll do it real quick, but I'll have to stop it. But he'll go up to 1 and go into the zone, the parking zone, which I will stop because there's no room for him to park there. So bam. So that's it. You just steer it back and forth, and I've got to remember to open all the correct things. But that's it. That's a brief example of using the reversing loop, flowing my trains up and down. Obviously, a better example would have been using one of my freight trains, but this is what I had out that I was going to use. But that is it. It is all done, other than I've got to get a couple of motors out of those turnout switches there and put them over there. All right, back. Okay, so before I shut this all down, one last kind of look or perusal at what's happening on the Central Station 3 sort of things. And again, this is my computer mirror of the Central Station 3, which you can control independently. But anything you do on the computer is still being done through the Central Station 3. So it's not like you can run the same train at 2 different speeds. If I change the speed here, it's changed on Central Station 3. But it allows you to control trains on one place and signals in another, or however you want to do it. Anyhow, so up above are all my switches. Now, I have not done a map. I can actually draw a map. I'm kind of in the way there, but I can actually draw my layout map and put my points in where they are. And I'll get around to doing that someday. My famous answer. But yeah, up above, you can see every turnout and double slip that is on my layout. Now, if I had lights and signals and everything else, they would be displayed up there as well. And what I have is, you can see there's 201, 202, 203, 204. These are zones. 300, 400, 500. These are zones. 200 are the high-speed parking area, the 5 lanes. Because if you open 1, it goes to 2. If you open 2, it goes to 3. If you open 3, it goes to 4. If you open 4, it goes to 5. So, for 5 lanes, you need 4 turnouts. That's all set up there. So 201 opens 1 to 2. 202, right, you get that. Zone 3 are the double slips I put in a week and a half ago, or whenever it was. That's zone 3, all the left-hand flowing that comes out of the parking area. So if you think zone 2 is the high-speed parking area, zone 3 is coming right out of that parking area. Zone 4 is the double slips I put in today, because once you leave that, the next zone you come through is zone 4. The left-hand flowing or right-hand flowing double slip. So out of the parking area is the right hand. So it's sort of in order. And zone 5 is what goes into the parking area. The Bremen station parking area. So there's a logic to it. And then again, ones denote, so for example, 301. If you activate 301, that means a train coming on will go to lane 1, 302 to lane 2, 303 to lane 3, etc., etc. Okay, same with 4s. So there is a method to what seems like madness. Now, if you're asking where's zone 1, well, I saved the 100s for either odds and ends, like I've still got 2 turnouts up at the top of the curve. Those are technically 101 and 102 still right now. But eventually I'll put them out, and I might put them in as the double slip. But usually I save the 100 addresses for my locomotives. So there is no 100 because 100 is saved. So 200 is the first, so to speak. All right. But anyhow, so they're all up here. And yeah, you can control them and create any combination of flow now. And I don't know if you're hearing the clicks or not. But yeah, you can create any combination of flow to get from one part of the one line on the layout to the other. So yeah, I'm very pleased with this. It's all on display here. So when I'm moving trains, I've got my Central Station 3 here to control my trains, or my mobile stations, or my app on my tablets and phone. And then I can control the turnouts on my computer screen. In fact, I can open multiple versions of the app on different windows of my computer. So I can control everything on different windows. So it's all very cool. And yeah, so they're all working. They're all in. I still got a few to finish, but those will be just unimportant ones for now. For example, the reverse loop turnout doesn't have a motor or decoder. The what's the other one? Oh yeah, and the lane 6 one doesn't have a decoder. I've got 3 spare motors. I've got or 2 spare motors now, and I've got I just got to get a couple of decoders, and then it's all ready to go. But these 2 are so unimportant, and they're easy to reach as opposed to having to go around the table. I've babbled a lot here, but it's gonna be a long video anyhow. So back to me for a wrap up. Okay, it has been a long day. In between filming the last little bit, I did go up here and remove 2 of the decoders and motors and put them in the 2 over here. So now everything except for lane 6's on-off ramp is automated. I just can't reach the last. Actually, I've got 2 more decoders and motors up there. I can't reach them. I'd have to kind of crawl in the corner over there. So for now, till I can get another decoder. I've got spare motors. I just need 1 more decoder. There's 2 more turnouts up there that have decoders, but like I said, for the 3rd time, I can't reach them. So you saw the test. Everything's working. Very, very pleased. This has been a task I've been scared of doing for a couple of years, really a couple of years. And of course, once you do, you go, why was I so scared? Because you deal with the unknown. And I don't like to, when something's working, even if there's a little bit of additional work you got to do, such as getting up and go over and changing the slip manually, but everything's working, you're scared to mess with it. You know, if it's working, leave it alone, right? If it's not broke, don't fix it. But there were some aesthetics, as I've said in all 3 videos, so now 4 or 5, whatever this one is. There are aesthetics that I did improve. And what this does is I'm not thinking about any of this anymore, which means I can finally get back to doing more ballasting and maybe start getting some grass and scenics in. I don't know if that will be anytime soon, but at least right now the drive is there. This has been a very positive to have everything digital. So now any train I want to move from one lane to another, from one parking area to another, I can do it all on my computer screen or my Central Station or on my phone app. I don't have to manually go and open one, except for lane 6 to get something off of lane 6. To go on is not a problem, but bringing it in the parking area and going on lane 6, not a problem. Just getting it off.
So when I want to change something off of lane 6, I will have to open that manually for now until I get another decoder. And maybe I'll just turn around and buy one off eBay if I can get one at a good price. So this has been an adventure, but it's all working. Yeah, this has been cool. And I'm surprised at how quickly I was able to do things. I expected this to take over 2 days. I wasn't sure. And as it is, I ran out of 71s, and I really could have used one more 71. As it is, I kind of just tore back. I'm a couple of centimeters off, and it's not perfectly straight, but I'll get a 71. I need to buy another box of 71s and 77s, and just to have spare, but I've got all kinds of spare track now. Way too many spare turnouts with these double slips going in, but it's cleaner, it's streamlined, things transfer more smoothly. I'm happy, and everything's working. All the bugs have been tested and sorted. Wiring mistakes, even after you tell everybody to watch your wiring, you turn around and make a wiring mistake. Forgetting to that the decoders on the three-way switches actually take up 2 addresses. I had to learn that, so I was having a little bit of conflict between the 2 of them because I had them 2 addresses apart, 503, 504, and it really needed to be 503 and 505 because each decoder actually does take 2 addresses. So anyhow, it is all sorted, and it is all working. This has been cool. And so this little journey of track adjustment, this switching switches to double slips is now over. I just got a mess to clean up, but that will have to wait for another day. So to all of you that have watched these videos and have been positive in your support, I want to say a special thank you to all of you. Thanks for coming along on the journey. To all of you who've watched it. If you can't tell, I'm feeling a positive buzz here because it's my switching trains and getting ready for live streams has just gotten a lot of easier. So yeah, it's a win. On that note, or on those notes, because there's quite a few notes being played in this opera, I want to say to all of you again, thank you. Auf Wiedersehen, tschüss, and happy trains. Take care, everybody.